Hello and welcome back to episode 13 of the Alpine F1 Manager Career Mode. We're back today for the Hungaroring Grand Prix. After a very good French Grand Prix for us last time out, we had a podium and we've moved even further clear of Mercedes. Can we continue that momentum today in Hungary? So we are heading into the Hungarian Grand Prix. As you can see, we are 7 points ahead of Mercedes as we head into this. We're guaranteed fourth in the championship. It's just whether we can sneak our way into third. Also, shout out to Ferrari and Red Bull. 3 points between them. Although Max has a 16-point lead over Leclerc. Sergio Perez not holding up his end of the Red Bull package. Meanwhile, for us, we've got 1 point between Alonso and Ocon. The Mercedes, it's George Russell not holding up his end. Half the points of Lewis Hamilton. He's not even got as many points as Valtteri Bottas. In this scenario, are Mercedes regretting their decision? Quite possibly. In real life, definitely not. In game, quite possibly. We are yet to have our new parts to the car. The front wing will be ready in, annoyingly, a week's time. However, that and the other part that we're developing, which I've completely forgot what it is, it's a underfloor, will both be ready for the Belgian Grand Prix. So a big upgrade for us heading into that second half of the season. But let's head into the Hungarian Grand Prix today.
The Hungaroring is abuzz with excitement as Formula One returns to Hungary for another round. We first came here in 1986 after construction on this purpose-built motorsport facility was completed. The Hungaroring is one challenging succession of corners and turns. With few straights, it's affectionately known as the go-kart circuit. Drivers will have to find a proper rhythm to make the most of the layout, and for cars, low-speed downforce will be paramount. We're about halfway through the season now, and there's still plenty of time for everything to change. All eyes are on the teams and how they tackle the rest of the year. The competition is on.
So we have rain on the Friday, but then clear skies on Saturday and Sunday. That's good because Valtteri Bottas can't go bowling. We're expecting a one-stop or a two-stop. We could go soft, hard to mediums. That could be very tempting if we are in a position where we can make that work. We'll definitely keep it in mind. We could even look at doing soft, medium, medium instead of the soft, hard, medium that they recommend there. But we'll head into practice and I'll see you ahead of qualifying. So we've finished practice. P1 we had Piastri in 13th, Ocon in 15th. Alonso in 10th, Ocon in 13th, and then in P3 we were 16th and 17th. However, we were using some worn car parts, so we're going to be fitting Alonso with basically his brand new engine. His ERS is a little bit worn. We're going to keep a hold on that for now. And then I believe for Ocon, again, a much newer engine. It's not quite as good as Alonso's, and also his ERS is going to be replaced. I am tempted to bring in a new gearbox as well. We just don't want to risk failure. And I believe we've got all our best car parts installed on both cars as well. I will just have a quick scan through, make sure that is the case. It is indeed. So we can head into qualifying now. And as usual, I'll see you probably towards the end of Q2. So as is somewhat expected, we went through from Q1 absolutely fine. We're in Q2 now, and we've got Alonso out on track. Ocon is a little bit further back. He's still on the main straight. Both on flying laps now. Alonso's gone green in Sector 1. As you can see there, he's currently sat in 6th. Ocon, we're still waiting on his Sector 1 time. He goes orange. That's not great for Ocon, but we'll see what comes of it. Orange for Alonso in Sector 2. And the session is officially over. Ricardo's crossed the line. He's still in the pits. Ricardo out of qualifying. Perez crosses the line and stays third. Sainz crosses the line and stays in pole, but he couldn't really move anywhere, could he? Alonso crosses the line, puts the pressure on Russell a bit, but doesn't improve much. Ocon is currently the man in danger. I don't know who we've got around him at the moment. So Norris has just crossed the line. Hamilton's put himself up to third. Ocon doesn't improve. Tsunoda is still got to cross the line, as has Magnussen. Here comes Tsunoda. Doesn't knock Ocon out. Magnussen also doesn't improve. So Ocon squeezing through to Q3 by the skin of his teeth. Slight error in that I forgot to unpause the recording after qualifying 2. So we don't have the end of qualifying 3. We ended up 8th and 10th with Alonso and Ocon respectively. So we're going to do something we don't normally do and just go with one of the default strategies entirely. We're going to go with the soft to hard strategy so that we've got the option to switch out and go to the mediums towards the end if we need to or if we get chance to. Ideally, that will happen. But of course, it may not. We'll have to see how the race plays out. I think this still works in our favour though, because I feel it gets us a bit of an undercut on the cars around us. So hopefully we can make some progress early on in the race.
It's sunny and bright as the drivers line up on the grid. Looking at Fernando Alonso here. Not as close to the front as they might have wished for, but we know the race order can change a lot during those first few corners. Further back, we've got Esteban Ocon. They're in the front half of the pack, so there's plenty of potential for them. The teams are ready to go. And here we go, with the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go.
We'll jump on board with watching Sainz off the line, just because it's fun to see who leads into turn 1, and it's comfortably Carlos Sainz. Ocon has got past Gasly early on, which is very nice to see as well. We're going to jump into the onboard. Alonso trying to find a way to attack Verstappen early on, who couldn't get near Bottas, strangely. And we're definitely going to be wanting to get on the back of Verstappen and Perez, try and get towards the Mercedes. Alonso's having a little look up the outside of this corner, but not able to make anything stick. Ocon is just behind as well. Alonso through turn 4 is going to try and make it stick. Doesn't quite manage to do so, or does he? Oh my goodness, what an overtake.
Okay, mate, doing a good job.
That was phenomenal from Alonso. Can't say anything other than that. Ocon's having a little look as well. Alonso's also just ahead, having another little look. We're going to drop down to neutral on the settings for pretty much everything, actually, because tyres are overheating. We'll drop down to aggressive on tyres instead, rather than the
All okay in fuel.
balanced.
Okay.
And let's have a look at what goes on here. So Ocon having a look at Verstappen. Alonso having a look at Alonso. They are on the mediums. Is there anybody else around us? So Perez is the only other one on softs. We have gone ahead of Verstappen. Was that him who locked up?
Good job.
It was Zhou, so not anything too important. We'll jump into 2 times speed and see if we can continue to make progress. This is the point of the race where we're going to be able to make the progress, because being on the softs versus the mediums gives us a chance to do that. And then once we pit, it's going to be a bit more about making sure we can continue with the momentum that we get from early on in the race. DRS, oh no. Oh no. Well, there goes that plan. We'll pit Alonso for hards. replace his front wing. Ocon, meanwhile, can carry on in... Ah, what a disaster. He was in a good position behind Bottas, and then back end goes. Front wing is destroyed. Oh dear. Tyres have gone now because of that as well. Yeah, I know, we're already pitting him. That's incredibly disappointing. And changes how this race is going to have to play out now. We're going to have to pit Alonso early. He's basically been forced into a two-stop, so we'll pit him onto the hards and then swap him out for the mediums later on in the race. Stroll's gone for a spin. Verstappen's going up the inside of Ocon. We're going to tell him to attack now, just to try and get a bit closer back up to Bottas. Alonso with a 7.7 stop. And back out on track he goes. But that's drastically changed the way that this race is going to play out for us. Ocon doing really well. The fastest lap. Obviously, we don't expect that to last, but he's actually put himself right up on the back of Bottas here as well now, and broke DRS to Verstappen. So Ocon, we've got some hope in this race. And now back on board with Ocon, he's got DRS. He's coming up towards Bottas, and past he goes with absolute ease, round the corner.
Doing a good job, that's going to help you.
That's going to help you. He overtook someone, and his engineer's input was that's helpful. Honestly. Like, come on. You could have said something a bit better than that, couldn't you? And here's Alonso. Oh, he's so far behind. Like, I don't see that Alonso gets back into this race at all. We're just hoping that Ocon can do his part. We've basically got one car in this race. Looks like Stroll's made a mistake again because he's just dropped back from Latifi. He's spun. Stroll's spun now as well. Turn 14. Dangerous place. Dangerous place indeed. We've just got to hope that Ocon doesn't suffer the same fate. I'm sure he won't, because he's competent. It'll be fine. He is struggling. Both drivers actually struggling with fuel. You put them on balance, then it just seems to drastically disappear. So very limited on what we can do fuel-wise. We continue to battle with Bottas, which isn't ideal because we really wanted to have got past him and pushed up towards Perez. I think that was going to be quite difficult for us, though, just because of the pace that he's going to have in the Red Bull. Overall, I mean, being behind Bottas isn't too bad. It's just Perez pitting early on. That's a very early pit stop for him. There's people pitting and Alonso's still last. He's not had a good time of it. At all. Ocon's ran wide now. Good, good. Oh, Alonso's up to 19th. He's got past Stroll, so I'm guessing Stroll spun again, which would be like the third or fourth time in this race. Let's have a quick look. We're going to obviously have to have a pit stop for Alonso later on in the race. So around lap 48 is going to be the one. The pit window is open for Ocon now as well. And we just need to keep it steady. I think at this point, it's really going to come down to what we can do with the pit stops. We need Ocon to come out in some space when he does pit. So what are we looking at? On average, you've got a 20 to 25 second pit stop. So that's like 8 seconds there. 12. No. So we've got about 8 seconds there. Then you're up to 14, 18. So we should come out just behind Mick when we pit. That would be quite good, because if we can get between Mick and Ricardo, a little bit closer to Ricardo than Mick, that would be kind of perfect for us in terms of what we can do through the rest of the race. So hopefully that's where we can end up. Again, looking at tyres, it's clear we're going to have to pit a lot earlier than anyone else. We already knew that though. But Ocon doing well, to be fair. He's holding off Verstappen all the time. So that's very nice to see. Alonso's gone and got the new fastest lap of the race so far, down in 16th. Which the game feels the need to tell us about multiple times. Right. Ocon. You're coming in for your hearts. Next lap.
Box this lap.
He's held off Verstappen again. And now we're about to bring him in. Let's jump on board with Esteban Ocon. He's into the pits. And we need a good stop here. We come out with a 2.5. That's very good. That is very good for Ocon. And where's he going to come out? Just ahead of Norris. So actually a much better pit stop than what we expected. I think for now we'll leave him unbalanced. He should be able to pull away from Norris and just get himself a bit of position in this race. We're really kind of now looking at when the next lot of pit stops come in, which will be the medium runners. And that's when we need to, I think actually let's go aggressive for the time being. Oh, he's been overtook by Norris. We'll go aggressive for the time being. Use a bit of deploy. Pull ourselves away from Norris. And then that way, when the other cars make their pit stop, there's Hamilton making his pit stop as we speak. We don't manage to close the gap all that much on him. We've pulled away from Lando Norris. That's what we wanted for now. And then that way, we're not battling for position while also trying to close the gap ahead of us. Sainz is now pitted as well. Verstappen's pitted. Ocon comes back out ahead of Verstappen. Fantastic news. Leclerc and Russell are now in. And they're back up the front. So it's Sainz leading from Russell. 10 seconds gap there. And then Leclerc, Hamilton, Bottas. Alonso's now past Gasly. Alonso's back into the top 10. So, what do you know? Oh, well. That was awfully timed. But Alonso back up into 11th. So, for goodness sake. We know now. Alonso, oh, then again, he's still got to pit again. And that will be a game changer, because nobody else is going to pit again. It's just going to be Alonso. Unless there's some aggressive two-stops going on. But that's unlikely to be in the front of the field. There's a potential Perez is going for an aggressive two-stop. Because of the fact of how early he pitted, there is every chance Perez is going for an aggressive two-stop. And as it stands, 8 seconds, we would find ourselves ahead of Perez if he goes for that. But it's a long way away yet. We're actually going to... 16 times is a bit too quick for us to keep an eye on what's going on. So we've got a lot Ocon here. Perez is past Bottas. The other thing that we can do is we could pit Alonso. He could potentially get fastest lap late on if we can get his pit stop right. Because, I mean, why not? It's unlikely to end up with a Mercedes if we don't, because I think it will be a Ferrari fastest lap. But it wouldn't do us any harm to make sure it doesn't go to Mercedes. Alonso back up into the top 10 and back out of the top 10. This time, though, he was just overtaken. He didn't lock up. We don't think. I don't like that. At the moment, the gap for Ocon just seems to be getting bigger because the Bottas and Perez seem to just DRS each other further and further away from Ocon. It's looking like it's going to be a big point scoring weekend for Mercedes, which is very bad news for us. However, I am hopeful of the changes that we're going to have in the winter break. And I think after the winter break, I'm calling it a winter break. It's just not a winter break. Perez has gone for the aggressive two-stop. We have that confirmed. Aren't we meant to be pitting Alonso? We are. It didn't prompt me. Apparently, I didn't update his pit strategy. So, very sorry, Alonso. But in you come. So, Perez going for the aggressive two-stop. And he's actually now battling with Verstappen, which is quite an interesting little addition to the race. Alonso actually is not too far behind Lando Norris. He's come out in quite a good position there. He's past Lando Norris. If we can get him following signs through, we could be getting back past Tsunoda. The problem we've got at the minute, Alonso's got better pace than Sainz. But every time he gets past him, he then slows down to try and not hold him up. That's incredibly annoying. Ocon has dropped behind Perez, so the aggressive two-stop seems to have worked there. There's just not a lot happening in this race, if we're being honest. Like, it really hasn't been overly interesting. Ocon's just kind of gone about his day, but never really had much of a battle anywhere. Alonso could have been very interesting, but spun out. And it's just gone a bit boring. If I'm being completely honest, it's not been very entertaining. However, Ocon currently, I say currently in a battle with Verstappen. It appears Verstappen's just cleared him. It's time to go aggressive because tyre wear's looking good. I say that. Verstappen's is 61%. I think sometimes we need to use like balance a bit more than we do. Balance and light. I think there's times where we're like in traffic that we should probably use it more. But the problem I find is, and let me know in the comments if you've got any suggestions on how to kind of deal with this. The problem I find is I use light or is it conserve? Yes, it is. Then I don't find that my drivers can keep up with the cars ahead of them. Whereas everyone else seems to be able to do so. However, everyone else is also generally the cars we're battling with, which is like the Mercedes, the Ferraris, and the Red Bulls. So in retrospect, it's probably because they're probably on like light or conserve, and we're on like aggressive or attack just to keep up with them. And I do think maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe if we scale back from trying to battle with the Red Bulls, we might find that we can get our tyres lasting a little bit better than we are currently. It does appear Alonso is approaching Sonoda. We're going to go to attack. We're going to go to deploy. Let's go at him. The gap's down to 1.2 seconds. And if we can get it inside a second, which we can, that should be not quite DRS range, but we're going to have a look anyway. On the second run, still no DRS. Okay. Well, let's drop back down to standard. Let's sit behind Sonoda for a lap. And then we'll get him next time round. We'll get him next time round. It's fine. We're not in a rush because we're not going to get Pierre Gasly. We know that. Getting Sonoda is as good as it can get for us today. So, deploy, attack. Let's push. Fly past him. Let's give one lap like this. Let's try and get fastest lap for Alonso. As it stands, it would also be the point for it because he's up into 10th. So let's see if he can go and grab it. He's gone purple in Sector 1. Can he go and get purple in Sector 2, which is just coming to the end of here? He does. There's a strong chance we're about to see a fast lap from Fernando Alonso round the final corner. And there it is. Fastest lap. Let's drop everything down. That could be an important point in our battle with... Oh. It says he ran wide. It appears to be fine. It appears to be fine. And we've now got 4 laps to go. And we are looking comfortable for 10th and comfortable for 8th. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear we're going to be able to hold on to 7th or get back to 7th. I think had it been Bottas and maybe even one of the Mercedes, although they look very good this weekend. So I think had it been Bottas, we probably could have beat him to 7th. But because Bottas was further up, that kind of meant we weren't in a position to catch the 7th place. So a big point swing is about to happen. Here comes Alonso over the line for the end of the race. 10th place. And now here comes Ocon on his final lap. Let's tell him to attack and push. Why not? Let's deploy. Can we get a sneaky attack onto Verstappen at the end? Of course we can't. He's much too far ahead for that to happen. But nevertheless, we come home in 8th place. Over the line comes Esteban Ocon.
So let's check the flags.
Oh, very nice.
That's an excellent drive. And P1, wait 5 seconds, and P0.
So 8th and 10th for our drivers. They basically just swapped around from where they qualified. To be fair, Alonso did really well to get that back, given the spin. He also went and got fastest lap at the end. Ocon moves above Alonso in the Drivers' Championship, 85 to 84 points. However, as you can see, big points for Mercedes, 27 points. They jump out ahead by 14 points, and we came into the weekend with a 7-point lead. So a solid, if unspectacular, Grand Prix there from Alpine. We finish up in 8th and 10th. We lose points on Mercedes. However, next stop is Belgium, and we do have 2 big upgrades coming for that Grand Prix. Will they make a big difference? If you have enjoyed that, please do leave a like down below. Comment if you think that was a solid race for us. Subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.